Welcome to the Facilitators Deep Dive Podcast, your podcast on your way to facilitation mastery. We're diving into organizational structures.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah. And to help us out, we're going to be looking at the Loop approach
By Sebastian Klein.
and Ben Hughes,
Yeah.
and looking at how companies are kind of moving beyond these like old, rigid hierarchies.
Yeah. It's really interesting how these authors bring in psychology and like practical application. Klein's an organizational coach, so he really gets people like how teams work.
Yeah.
And Hughes heads up content at Blinkist, so he can really boil these like complicated ideas down to something really useful.
And that's perfect for you, our listener. You're here to understand these new models, especially like those that go beyond the traditional pyramid.
Yeah.
We'll uncover why those old school pyramids are struggling and then what makes these new models tick.
Yeah.
Think Zappos.
Yeah.
But maybe without the whole no managers thing.
Yeah, that freaks some people out.
Yeah.
Let's just acknowledge it. The traditional pyramid, it's showing its age.
Yeah.
Slow decision making, employees feeling stuck. And it's really a struggle to attract top talent.
Yeah.
It's like trying to race like a horse and buggy
Right.
when everyone else has a sports car.
And we've seen that play out. Just look at, I don't know, Amazon, Google. They've just blown past these companies that just haven't been able to adapt.
Right.
It's like Blockbuster laughing off Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The whole problem is that the pyramid was built on this predict and control.
Okay.
So you had a few people at the top calling all the shots.
Right.
But today, it's all about sense and respond.
Okay. Yeah.
So imagine every employee being able to react to changes without having to run to the top for permission.
Zappos tried to do that with Holacracy. Some people call it software for humans. And that was all about distributing authority through roles and processes. But it wasn't exactly smooth sailing for them.
Right, right.
What they really showed us is that transformation isn't a straight line.
Okay.
There's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
They had to adapt.
Yeah.
There's no magic button you can press for organizational change.
And that's where the Loop approach steps in.
Yes.
It's a toolkit, not a rigid set of rules.
Exactly.
And that's what we'll be exploring.
It's a 3-module system
Okay.
for transforming how teams work. And these modules, they're like, they work in a continuous loop to keep your organization moving forward.
Okay.
Clarity, results, and evolution.
And finding your team's why
Yes.
in that clarity module is like finding your North Star.
Yes.
It can really help you see potential you never knew existed.
And then you have the results module. Just imagine a system where everyone understands what done actually means.
Yeah.
No more like projects that never end or miscommunication.
Right, right.
That's what GTD offers, like a shared language for work that can really boost team effectiveness.
And we can't forget that evolution module where it really talks about how to deal with conflict.
Right.
And shows you how to turn those like tense moments into into growth and deeper connection with the people on your team.
Exactly. It's turning conflict from something you avoid into something that drives positive change.
So there's a lot of cool things here. Let's start with one of the biggest shifts the Loop approach talks about. Moving from these traditional hierarchies to something much more adaptable, flexible. What are some of the reasons that these old pyramids are struggling in today's world?
Well, the big one is that they just can't keep up with the pace of change.
Yeah.
We live in a world where information is flying around, markets are shifting, customer needs are changing overnight.
Right.
The old top-down approach, it just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, it's like trying to navigate a speedboat through a canal meant for barges.
Exactly. The pyramid structure, with all its layers of bureaucracy and its reliance on a few people at the top, it's just not agile enough to respond to these rapid fire changes we see today.
And it's not just about speed.
No.
There's also this growing sense that that the pyramid just doesn't tap into the full potential of employees.
That's right. Today's workers, they're different.
Yeah.
People are looking for more than just a paycheck.
Right.
They want to be engaged. They want to feel like their work has meaning.
Okay, yeah.
And they want to have a say in shaping the direction of their organization.
So it's not just that the old system is slow.
Right.
It's that it can actually demotivate people, make them feel undervalued. That's got to be a talent killer.
Absolutely. If you're stuck in a system where your ideas are ignored and you're not recognized for your contributions, why would you want to stay?
Yeah.
It's no wonder companies clinging to these structures are struggling to find and keep good people.
So it sounds like we're really in the middle of a pretty significant shift.
Yeah.
It's not about just like tweaking the old system. It's a whole new way of thinking about how organizations work.
That's what the loop approach is all about. It's about moving beyond the pyramid. It's about creating organizations that are as adaptable as the world we live in.
All right. So we've established that the pyramid is showing its cracks.
Yes.
But before we completely ditch it,
Yeah.
are there any parts of it
Yeah.
that might still have value?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Even though the pyramid has its limitations, it's not inherently bad.
Right.
It's a structure that's been around for centuries. There's definitely some things we can learn from.
Like what?
Well, one thing it does well is clear reporting lines.
Okay.
Everyone knows who they report to and who reports to them.
Right.
That can be helpful for accountability and making sure things get done.
So like a clear chain of command.
Exactly.
Okay.
Another thing, it can provide a clear career path. Start at the bottom, work your way up, gain experience, more responsibility along the way.
It's that classic career ladder.
Exactly.
Okay, so there are things we can learn, even if we're moving beyond it. Let's dive into the loop approach, those three modules: clarity, results, and evolution, which sound pretty intriguing.
Let's start with clarity.
Okay.
This module tackles that question that every team, I think, struggles with.
Yeah.
Why do we even exist?
Right.
It's about getting everyone aligned on the team's purpose, and not just in the company, but in the bigger picture of the world.
So figuring out your team's like North Star, that guiding principle that can help you make decisions, prioritize. But honestly, this sounds like it could be one of those, endless brainstorming sessions with people throwing out all these vague ideas. How do you actually nail down that shared purpose without it becoming like a 3-day philosophical debate?
Well, this is where the loop approach gets really practical. It has this exercise called the purpose playoffs.
Okay.
It's a playful but surprisingly effective way to get teams to really articulate their purpose.
Okay. I'm always up for a good playoff.
All right.
Yeah. Tell me more.
It starts with creating a stakeholder map.
Okay.
Where you identify all the people and the groups your team creates value for.
Like customers.
Customers, colleagues, other teams, even society as a whole.
Oh, wow.
By actually visualizing these stakeholders, the team starts to see their impact on a much broader scale.
So it's about stepping back from those day-to-day tasks.
Exactly.
To see what your team is actually contributing.
The next step is identifying value clusters.
Okay.
So you're grouping similar stakeholders together and brainstorming what value the team brings to each cluster.
Oh, okay.
So what you bring to customers might be different from what you bring to internal stakeholders.
Right. Breaking it down like that makes it feel a little less overwhelming. And then what? Do you start writing mission statements?
Not yet. Now you bring in the integration playoffs.
Oh, okay.
Each person writes their own definition of the team's purpose, then pairs up, shares their definitions, creates a combined version, then those pairs team up, and so on, until the whole team has one shared statement.
Oh, that's really cool. It's like a collaborative editing process.
Yes.
Where everyone gets to contribute, and you end up with something that really reflects the whole team's thinking.
That's the beauty of it. It's fast, it's engaging, and it gives everyone a sense of ownership over the team's purpose.
Okay, so we've nailed down the why. But clarity is also about understanding your team's potential.
Right.
What's the loop approach's take on that?
The next stage focuses on strengths and skills, but not just the ones on your resume. It's about uncovering the ones that are hidden.
Oh, okay.
The talents and passions people might not even know they have.
So it's like it's like a talent treasure hunt.
Exactly.
But how do you do that personality test for everybody?
There's a much more interesting approach.
Okay.
You reach out to 5 people who know you well, friends, colleagues, mentors, whoever.
Okay.
And you ask them to identify your 3 biggest strengths.
Oh, wow. So you're getting that feedback from multiple perspectives, people who've actually seen you in action.
Yeah.
That's so much richer than just a self-assessment.
Right. Then You gather those strengths.
Okay.
And you create personal profiles for each team member. Visual representations of their strengths, skills, and expertise.
So it's like a team directory, but instead of just names and contact info, it's like everyone's superpowers.
Exactly. And by making those strengths visible, you open up all sorts of opportunities for collaboration, leveraging each other's talents, building on each other's expertise. So we've got the why and the who, but clarity is also about, roles and responsibilities. The final stage focuses on that, creating a role-based structure.
Okay.
First, you identify all the tasks. Then you cluster them into roles, each one with a clear purpose and a set of accountabilities.
So instead of assigning tasks based on, like, job titles, you're creating these roles that are designed for specific goals. And those roles can be filled by whoever's best suited for them.
Precisely. And the loop approach is very clear about the difference between roles and jobs.
Oh, okay.
Jobs are static, roles are dynamic, they can evolve.
I see how that ties back to that sense and respond idea we talked about earlier.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the clarity module also brings in this idea of tensions. There are essentially gaps between where you are and where you want to be.
So, like, we need to get better at communicating with customers, or we're not using everyone's skills as well as we could.
Exactly. And the loop approach emphasizes the importance of identifying these tensions, both as a team and individually. It's about constantly finding ways to improve and close those gaps between where you are and where you want to be.
Okay, I like that. So it's not just about fixing problems. It's about seeking out opportunities for growth and innovation. But how does this work in real life? Could you give us an example of how a team might use this clarity module to figure out their purpose and structure?
Let's imagine a marketing team. They're struggling to keep up with the demands of a fast-changing digital landscape.
Yeah, I know a few of those.
Yeah, you and me both. They're feeling overwhelmed. Campaigns aren't performing. There's a lot of frustration going around.
That sounds familiar.
So how could they apply this clarity module to get back on track? First, they would use the purpose playoffs to figure out their why. They might discover their purpose is not just about selling products. It's about connecting with customers and building a community around their brand.
Okay, so they're moving beyond just like the transaction and focusing on building those relationships.
They would then identify their strengths and skills. They might discover someone has a hidden talent for data analysis, while someone else is a born storyteller. They can leverage those strengths to create more targeted and engaging campaigns.
That can really shift the dynamic, right?
Absolutely.
So instead of everyone trying to be a jack of all trades, you're actually starting to see each other as specialized pieces of a puzzle that fit together to create a more complete picture.
And finally, they define their roles. Instead of everyone doing a little bit of everything, they create roles like content strategist, community manager, and data analyst, each with clear responsibilities filled by the people best suited for them.
So it's about creating a structure that actually plays to those strengths and allows people to focus on what they do best.
It lays a strong foundation for teamwork.
Okay, so that's clarity. But just having a purpose and a structure isn't enough.
No, you have to figure out how to get things done. And that's where the results module comes in. It's about taking that clarity and turning it into action. Bridging that gap between what you want to achieve and making it happen.
That sounds like a pretty crucial step. So what are some of the tools and concepts in the results module?
One of the highlights is getting things done, or GTD, which is a really powerful system for personal productivity that you can also apply to teamwork.
You mentioned GTD provides a shared language for work.
Yes.
How does that actually play out in a team setting?
GTD helps teams define their tasks and projects, their next actions very clearly. It makes collaboration much easier. No more vague requests or wondering what done even means.
So it's like a shared mental map for all the work the team's doing.
Exactly. And another key component is the concept of inboxes.
Okay.
It's like a central hub where all the requests, ideas, and tasks are captured.
Like a team-wide to-do list.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
But GTD also stresses defining outcomes for projects before even starting.
Right.
You ask, what does done look like?
Right.
This shared understanding of the outcome helps everyone stay focused.
Yeah, that's so important. I've been in so many projects where we all thought we were on the same page. But halfway through, we had completely different ideas about the end goal.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
GTD is a great way to avoid that.
So it's about bringing more intention and structure to the way we work, which frees us up to actually focus on the work itself.
It's like having blueprints for a building.
Okay.
Everyone knows what they're building, what they need, how everything fits together.
But what about those times when things don't go to plan?
Yeah.
You know, conflicts come up, disagreements happen,
Right.
tensions build.
And ignoring those tensions is like sweeping dirt under the rug.
Right.
It might look clean for a while,
Yeah.
but it's just going to create a bigger mess later.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why the loop approach dedicates a whole section of the results module to addressing these tensions.
Okay.
It introduces the concept of the 4 spaces,
Right.
a framework for understanding different types of tension and how to approach them.
Okay, so back to those 4 spaces. Remind me what they are again.
The first is the operational space, where most day-to-day work happens.
Okay.
Exchanging information, completing tasks, managing projects.
Yep.
Tensions in this space are usually about needing information, requesting support, clarifying things.
Those everyday tensions that come with working on a team. What about the other spaces?
The second is the governance space.
Okay.
This is where decisions are made about the team's structure and how it functions, creating or modifying roles, defining meeting structures, establishing processes.
So it's about like working on the system.
Exactly.
Okay.
The third space is the individual space. This is where you focus on your personal growth and development.
Okay.
Tensions here might be about your own feelings, motivations, or those limiting beliefs that can hold you back.
I really appreciate that that's included.
Yes.
Because sometimes our own like internal stuff can get in the way of effective teamwork.
Absolutely. And the final space is the tribe space.
Okay.
Which is all about the relationships within the team.
Okay.
Tensions here revolve around communication,
Right.
conflict, trust, that sense of belonging.
So creating a healthy team culture where everyone feels comfortable.
Exactly. To, voice their concerns and work through things.
And the loop approach gives you specific tools for addressing tensions in each of these spaces.
Okay.
One of the most powerful is nonviolent communication, or NVC.
Okay, I'll admit, when I first heard that term, nonviolent communication, I pictured like peace rallies, people holding hands, singing Kumbaya.
Right.
It sounds like it's actually a lot more practical and nuanced than that. So tell us more about it. What is it, and how can it be used to resolve conflict?
It's not about being passive or avoiding conflict.
Okay.
It's about communicating in a way that focuses on needs and understanding both your own and the needs of others. It's about moving past blame and judgment to find solutions that work for everyone.
So it's about shifting from you versus me to we're in this together.
Exactly.
Okay.
An NVC has 4 key components: observations, feelings, needs, and requests. Okay, break those down for me.
Observations are about stating the facts without any judgment.
Okay.
It's about separating what happened from your interpretation of it.
So instead of saying, like, you were late to the meeting and you didn't even apologize, which is all, like, judgy, you would say, the meeting started at 10 a.m., you arrived at 10:15 a.m.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then you express your feelings about it.
Okay.
But you own your emotional response instead of blaming the other person.
So you might say, when you arrived late, I felt frustrated because I was worried we wouldn't have time to cover everything.
Right. Then you identify your unmet needs.
Okay.
In this case, maybe your need is for respect for everyone's time or a sense of shared responsibility.
And then make a request.
Yes. A clear and specific action you'd like the other person to take.
Okay.
So you might say, in the future, could you let me know if you're going to be late so we can adjust?
Okay. I can see how this can really change a conversation. You're not attacking each other. You're focusing on understanding and finding those solutions that address everyone's needs. But NZC sounds like it takes a lot of practice. How do you actually start incorporating this?
It does take practice,
Mm.
but the more you use it, the more natural it becomes.
Right.
Just start by being more aware of your own language.
Okay.
Notice how often you blame or judge in your communication.
So it's like doing a mental audit of how you talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
Are you approaching it from like a defensive place
Yeah.
or like a place of openness?
Exactly.
Okay.
Practice active listening too.
Right.
Really try to get the other person's perspective, even if you don't agree.
Right.
Ask questions, reflect back what you're hearing, acknowledge their feelings.
So NBC is about
Yes.
building empathy and connection,
Yeah.
which are really important for any healthy relationship, personal or professional. But I can see how some people might be resistant to this approach.
Yeah.
Like they might think it's too soft, too touchy-feely.
Some people might be, especially if they're used to a more assertive style.
Right.
But NDC isn't about being weak.
Okay.
It's actually very powerful because it lets you express your needs directly
Yeah.
while also respecting the needs of others.
So strength through like vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Being able to acknowledge your feelings without attacking.
And when you can do that,
Yeah.
you're creating that space for real connection and understanding.
Right.
Okay, so we've talked about GTD and VC as tools for getting things done and addressing those operational space tensions. What about the other spaces? Like how does the loop approach help us with the governance space?
That's where governance meetings come in.
Okay.
They're designed for making decisions about how the team is structured and how it operates.
Okay.
Like creating roles, defining meeting structures, making decisions.
So it's like having a dedicated time to actually work on the system itself.
Exactly.
But how do these governance meetings work? Do you just get everyone in a room and start debating?
There's a bit more structure to it. Remember those tensions we talked about?
Yeah.
Well, these meetings are all about identifying and addressing tensions related to the team's structure and processes.
So someone might raise attention like, we're not making decisions efficiently enough.
Yeah.
Or I'm not really sure who's responsible for what.
Exactly. And once you've identified a tension, you use a collaborative process to find solutions. One of the tools they use is integrative decision-making,
Okay.
or IDM.
Okay, what is that? And how is it different from how most teams make decisions?
IDM is designed to ensure that everyone's voice is heard
Okay.
and that decisions are made with everyone's input. It goes beyond simple majority rule or trying to force a consensus where everyone agrees 100%.
I've definitely been in
Meetings where it feels like the loudest voice or the, person with the highest title makes the decision, even if other people have concerns.
Yeah.
IDM feels a lot more inclusive and collaborative.
Okay, so how does that work? What's the process?
The first step is to clearly define what's being considered the proposal. Then everyone gets to share their perspectives, their concerns.
So it's about creating that space for open and honest dialogue where everyone feels safe to share their thoughts, their feelings.
And instead of just focusing on pros and cons, IDM really emphasizes addressing objections.
Oh, so it's not about convincing everyone to vote yes.
Right.
It's about really understanding and addressing the concerns of those who might not be on board.
And by actually working through those objections, you can often find solutions that address everyone's needs.
It sounds like IDM is a really great way to avoid those situations where someone walks out of the meeting and feels like, well, my voice wasn't heard.
Exactly.
Or like they were railroaded into something they weren't okay with.
It's about making sure everyone feels part of the solution.
Okay, so we've talked about GTD, NVC, IDM as tools for getting things done, addressing tensions in the operational and governance spaces. What about those tensions that pop up in like the individual and tribe spaces?
That's where self-awareness and intentional relationship building are so important.
Okay.
The loop approach really encourages people to take ownership of their own development.
So it's about recognizing that like how we show up in a team is often influenced by our own internal stuff, right? Our beliefs, our values, past experiences. The results module really encourages self-reflection, strengths, weaknesses, communication patterns, how you deal with conflict.
So it's like taking a step back to understand your own internal operating system.
And how it might be affecting how you interact with others.
By understanding your patterns, you can make conscious choices about how you want to show up.
So taking responsibility for your behavior and making that effort to communicate and work with others in a way that's respectful, supportive, and productive.
When it comes to the tribe space, the loop approach stresses building strong relationships based on trust, mutual respect, and open communication.
It sounds like creating a healthy team culture is really a big part of the loop approach.
It is. And the results module offers a bunch of tools to help foster that kind of positive environment. One that's really powerful is the clear the air meeting or CTA meeting.
Yeah, we touched on that a little bit. Tell us a bit more about how those CTA meetings work and why they're so valuable.
CTA meetings are designed for dealing with interpersonal tensions. They're a safe space to voice concerns, work through feelings,
and find resolution.
So like a dedicated time to work through those conflicts that could like fester and really undermine the team.
Exactly. And they draw on the principles of nonviolent communication.
Okay, so how do CTA meetings specifically use NVC to resolve those interpersonal conflicts?
CTA meetings create this structured environment where you can use NVC to work through your differences. Remember those 4 components.
Yes, observations, feelings, needs, requests.
Right. It's about expressing yourself clearly and directly, but also respecting the other person's perspective.
So in a CTA meeting, someone might say, I feel like my ideas aren't being heard.
Exactly. And then the team would use NVC to explore that.
So the person would start with an observation, like in the last few meetings, I've noticed that when I share an idea, it's often met with silence and then express their feelings. Like
when that happens, I feel frustrated and discouraged because I want my contributions to be valued.
Right. Then the team would help them figure out what needs aren't being met.
Like recognition, respect.
Yes. Recognition, respect, a sense of belonging.
And then finally, they would make a request. Like, in the future, I'd really appreciate it if we could acknowledge and discuss each other's ideas.
Exactly. And by using NVC in this structured setting, you create a space where conflict becomes an opportunity for growth and connection.
So shifting from avoid conflict at all costs to conflict is a natural part of working together.
Exactly. It's about understanding that disagreements can actually lead to better solutions and a stronger team if you approach them in the right way.
Okay, so we've talked about GTD, NVC, and IDM. What about those tensions in the individual and tribe spaces? How does the loop approach help us with those?
That's where self-awareness and intentional relationship building come in. The loop approach encourages you to take ownership of your personal growth.
So recognizing that how we show up as part of a team is often influenced by our own, beliefs, values, experiences.
Exactly. And the results module encourages you to reflect on those things. Your strengths, weaknesses, how you communicate, how you handle conflict.
So it's about taking a step back, understanding your own personal operating system.
Exactly, and how it affects your interactions.
And by understanding your patterns, you can make choices about how you want to show up.
Right.
So taking responsibility for your behavior and making an effort to communicate and work with others respectfully and productively.
Exactly. And when it comes to the tribe space, the loop approach focuses on building relationships based on trust. Mutual respect, open communication.
So like creating a thriving team culture is a big part of the loop approach.
It really is. And the results module offers lots of tools for that. One of the most powerful is the clear the air meeting. Or CTA meeting.
We talked about that a bit before. Can you tell us more about how those work and why they're so valuable?
CTA meetings are specifically for those interpersonal tensions. They give you this like structured and safe space to talk about concerns, feelings, and work towards solutions.
So a dedicated time and space to work through those interpersonal conflicts.
Exactly. And they draw on those principles of nonviolent communication that we talked about earlier.
It sounds like a really powerful way to transform conflict from something that everyone's afraid of into like a real opportunity for growth and connection.
It is. And CTA meetings are just one of the tools the loop approach offers for building a strong and resilient team culture.
Okay, so we've covered GTD, NVC, and IDM as tools for, getting things done.
Right.
Addressing those tensions in the operational and governance spaces. But what about those tensions that pop up in the individual and tribe spaces? How does the loop approach help with those?
That's where self-awareness and really intentional relationship building are key.
Okay.
The loop approach really encourages everyone to take ownership of their own personal growth.
So it's about recognizing that how we show up in a team is often influenced by our own beliefs and values, our past experiences.
Exactly. And the results module encourages us to reflect on those things, our strengths, weaknesses, how we communicate, how we handle conflict.
It's like taking a step back and understanding your own personal operating system.
Exactly. And how it affects how you interact with other people.
And by understanding your patterns, you can then make choices about how you want to show up.
Right. Taking responsibility for your own behavior.
Making an effort to communicate and work with others in a way that's respectful, supportive, and productive.
Exactly. And when it comes to the tribe space, the loop approach really emphasizes building strong relationships.
Right.
Based on trust, mutual respect, and open communication.
So it sounds like creating a healthy, thriving team culture is a big part of the loop approach.
It really is. And the results module offers a bunch of tools to help us create that kind of environment. One of the most powerful is the Clear the Air meeting. Or CTA meeting.
We talked about those a bit earlier. Can you tell us more about how those work and why they're so valuable?
CTA meetings are specifically designed to address those interpersonal tensions.
Right.
They provide this structured, safe space to talk about concerns, to process your feelings, and to work towards a resolution.
So it's like a dedicated time and space to work through those interpersonal conflicts.
Exactly. And they draw on the principles of nonviolent communication, which we talked about earlier.
It sounds like a really powerful way to transform conflict from something that, everyone's afraid of into an opportunity for growth and deeper connection.
It is. And CTA meetings are just one of the many tools the loop approach offers for building a strong and resilient team culture.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive into the loop approach. We've talked about the power of GTD for achieving results, the transformative potential of NVC for addressing tensions, and the importance of self-awareness and intentional relationship building for creating a thriving team culture. But the loop approach isn't just about achieving results and resolving conflict. It's also about continuously evolving and adapting to the ever-changing world around us. And that's where the third module, evolution, comes in. And that's what we'll be exploring in part 3 of our deep dive. So stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the loop approach.
We spent the last 2 parts really digging into this idea of clarifying our team's purpose and mastering tools like GTD and NVC to, achieve results, address tensions. But what happens when, the world throws a curveball? How do we make sure our teams are constantly evolving and adapting so we don't become, those dinosaurs we were talking about?
That's where the evolution module comes in. It's all about creating a team that is constantly learning, adapting, improving. It's like having a built-in upgrade system for your organization to make sure you stay ahead of the curve.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Because in a world that's changing faster than ever,
yes,
it's not enough to just be good at what you do today.
Right.
You have to be able to anticipate what's coming next.
Exactly.
Adapt.
And the evolution module gives you the tools to do that. One of the key components is revisiting those governance meetings. Remember, they're those dedicated spaces for making decisions about the team's structure and processes.
Yeah. And this is where we tackle those tensions related to roles, responsibilities, and how the team functions overall.
So it's like having those regular checkups for your teams, like operating system, you're identifying bugs, installing the latest updates. But how do you actually make sure these meetings are productive? Because it's so easy to get bogged down in discussions and debates.
Absolutely.
Especially when you're talking about, roles and responsibilities.
That's where the evolution module revisits integrative decision-making, or IDM. It's a robust framework for making sure that everyone has a voice. And that decisions are made with input from the whole team. It's like taking the best parts of democracy
Right.
and collaboration and applying them to team decisions.
So it's a really intentional way to make decisions.
Yeah.
And one that helps you avoid those situations where someone feels like their concerns were ignored.
Or they were kind of pushed into something they didn't agree with.
And by using IDM in those governance meetings, you create a process where everyone feels like they have a hand in shaping the team.
Okay, so we're taking care of the structure.
Yes.
But what about the human side of all this?
Right.
How do we make sure that those relationships stay healthy and strong amidst all this change?
This is where the evolution module gets really interesting.
Okay.
It introduces the concept of the clear the air meeting,
Okay.
or CTA meeting,
Right.
which is designed to address those interpersonal tensions.
Right.
They provide a safe space to voice concerns, process feelings,
Right.
and work towards a resolution.
And we talked about NVC earlier as a
Yeah.
tool for addressing tensions in general.
Yeah.
So how do these CTA meetings specifically use NVC
Yeah.
to deal with those interpersonal conflicts?
CTA meetings create the structured environment where you can apply those NVC principles. Remember the 4 key components?
Yes. Observations, feelings, needs, and requests.
Right. It's about expressing yourself in a way that's clear and direct,
Yeah.
but still respectful.
So in a CTA meeting, someone might say, for example, I feel like my ideas aren't being heard.
Exactly. And then the team would use NVC to explore that.
So the person raising the tension would start by sharing an observation. In the last few meetings, I've noticed that when I share an idea, it's met with silence.
Right. And then they would express how they feel.
Like, when that happens, I feel frustrated and discouraged because I want to feel like my contributions matter.
Exactly. And then the team would help them figure out what needs aren't being met.
Like their need for recognition.
Exactly. Recognition,
Right.
respect, belonging.
And then they'd make a request.
Exactly. In the future, I'd really appreciate it if we could acknowledge and discuss each other's ideas, even if we don't agree.
By using NVC in this structured way,
Yeah.
the team can create a space where conflict is actually an opportunity for growth.
It's like shifting the mindset
Yeah.
from avoiding conflict at all costs
Right.
to seeing it as a natural part of working together.
Because disagreements can lead to better solutions
Absolutely.
and a stronger team dynamic.
If you approach them constructively.
Okay, so we've talked about GTD, NVC, and IDM, and
Yes.
the hot seat exercise, which we touched on earlier. You know, where someone sits in the hot seat and gets feedback from everyone else. It could be a really powerful tool, right?
It can. The key is to approach it with a spirit of generosity.
Okay.
You know, wanting to help each other improve.
So it's not about tearing people down or placing blame. It's really about supporting each other.
Exactly. And the evolution module offers specific guidelines for giving and receiving feedback effectively.
Okay.
Focus on behaviors, be clear and concise, offer suggestions for improvement.
It sounds like the evolution module is really about creating this team culture that embraces continuous improvement. You know, we're all works in progress, and the best teams are the ones that are constantly learning,
Yes.
adapting, evolving.
That's it, exactly. And the loop approach gives you a way to do this that's both structured and flexible.
Yeah.
It gives you the tools to build a team that's not just effective, but also resilient and adaptable.
Right.
And ultimately more fulfilling for everyone.
Okay, we've covered a lot in our deep dive into the loop approach.
Yeah.
We explored those limitations of traditional hierarchies.
Yes.
The importance of clarifying your purpose, mastering those tools like GTD and NVC, and the power of having that evolutionary mindset.
Right.
But, you know, the loop approach is more than just a set of tools and concepts.
Right.
It's really a way of thinking about teamwork.
It is.
That can lead to more engaged employees, more innovative solutions,
Absolutely.
and just a more meaningful work experience.
It's about creating an environment where people feel valued, respected, and empowered.
And building those teams that are not only productive, but also really supportive and collaborative and just, you know, more human.
Absolutely.
So I'll leave you with this question, dear listener. What kind of team do you want to be a part of? A team that's stuck in the past or one that's shaping the future? The choice is yours.
And the loop approach can help you create that future.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the loop approach.
Yes, thank you.
We hope you found it insightful and got some ideas you could use with your own team. Remember, the future of work is really in your hands. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep looping. See you next time on the Facilitators Deep Dive Podcast, your podcast on your way to facilitation mastery. Until next time.
See you then.